What up, what up, what up? Always before you here. Want to do another overview today for you, one of my guns that I have. This one is, actually it's a paintball gun. And it's the only paintball gun that I have. I don't participate in paintball, but I just found this so unique. I really like my airsoft guns, and just for target practice and plinking cans and things of that nature. And kind of always wanted a paintball gun and could never warm up to the styles of them. They didn't look like anything, any real firearms, and that's where my attraction lies with airsoft guns, is that the replicas, and I've always found that really cool. So it turns out there's a company out there, you can see it on the box here. It's called RAP4 Real Action Paintball, and let's see what we have on this side here. It's not a toy. Okay, 18 or older to purchase. And I guess they have their card stuck up there. Real Action Paintball. You can Google them and see the site and find these products. I was just actually checking out their site. I hadn't checked that out in a while. It seems like all these are back ordered. I don't know what that's about. Like, none of them are available right now. But in any case, let me show you what this pistol is all about. Okay, so this company RAP4, or I don't know if it's RAP4, if that's a reseller, or if it's actually Ram Combat is the company. But this is one of their models, and it's obviously styled after a Glock. I guess the Glock 17 is the full-size model. Okay, I'll just show you a little bit of the gun's lines. You have some differences there between this and the real firearm in the grip, but you all know it's meant to look like the Glock. It does come with this barrel plug, paintball barrel plug. That comes with it for safety reasons. Your sights are a little different. Okay. You see it's a 43 caliber paintball, and one of the cool things about this gun, and like I said, I don't play paintball, I don't skirmish or anything like that. It's also got their insignia down there, or paintball insignia. One of the really cool things about this is when you compare it to a paintball gun. You know what? I'm going to be, or an airsoft gun. I'm going to show you one in just 1 second. Sorry about that. So here's my Tokyo Marui Glock 26, and when you look down the barrel, now I hear people screaming right now, you should never look down the barrel, but there's nothing in here. It's not a real firearm. It's just an airsoft gun. But just for the purposes of comparison, I don't endorse staring down the barrel of the gun, but you see how big the barrel is there. It's a brass barrel of an airsoft gun, and that's 6 millimeters in diameter. Okay, check this out. This is 43 caliber. Now the outer hole of this is kind of similar, but the actual bore of that, let's see if we can get that in a good light. The actual bore being 0.43 is just shy of a 45 caliber firearm, or a 45 auto, like a Glock 21 or something of that nature. So it's pretty serious, pretty serious. Like I said, you shouldn't look down the barrel of a gun, but you're certainly going to realize that if you purchase this as comparison to an airsoft gun. Also, we have a safety here. See there, it says fire, and you'll know you're in fire mode when you see the red. Okay, and you can push that in, and now you would be on safe, and the trigger does not depress. It comes with one magazine. I had purchased a second. The magazines are all metal, proprietary design. They're a little bit unique, even amongst the different models. They all kind of use similar mags, but a little bit different. This has a spring inside, in which you pull this down. There's a notch at the bottom. You can push it over and it'll stay in place. And then, just for demonstration purposes here, I'm going to load up some of these .43 caliber rubber balls. And so there's a little lip up top here. See that little metal lip right there? That's what's going to keep them in place once you put them in. But to put them in, what you want to do is push down, take your nail and pull down on this, and it's going to get that out of the way. This way you could just drop them right in. And this model here holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to undo that. It's going to push everything up and it stays in place. Doesn't fly out because of that little metal tab. And then you would, actually I have my other magazine here. Magazine release is a typical thumb release. This is my other magazine. And then you would put these in, clicks in place. Okay. One thing to note though, if you were to take out a magazine that's not fully fired, you will lose one. And what I mean by that is when you eject this, that'll come out and you just saw the one pop out. So upon inserting it, it releases the first round and makes it loose. I do have a CO2 in here. I hadn't messed around with it in a while. I was just playing with it before. There is still propellant in there. And basically there's just knurled edges on here. And so you just unscrew this. It's a cylinder. You slide in a CO2 and then you just screw the whole thing back in. There's a rubber O-ring there where the CO2 meets it, and you just want to, every once in a while, put a drop of air gun oil, or I believe silicone oil will work fine in this one to maintain that seal. Okay, it's a good looking gun. It's got these front serrations, the rear serrations, and like I said, definitely modeled after a Glock 17. It's a pretty heavy gun. And different than most airsoft guns, there's no dead weight put into this to make it feel heavy. Airsoft guns, they typically say, oh, heavy version, to give it a quote-unquote authentic feel, which has always pissed me off. I don't like dumb weight in a gun. If the gun, if I could have a lighter gun, I wish they would leave it light, but they just put in basically dead weight. This gun is probably, I've owned a real Glock, the Glock 45 full size, the 21, which would be similar to this, and I want to say they're pretty close. I don't think this one's any heavier. Maybe the real one's a slight bit heavier, but not by much. This is a pretty close replica in terms of weight. Okay, it does have a blowback action, so when this slides back, but it's not a full blowback. You see the front there? It's kind of a half blowback, and it doesn't expose the chamber. It's just enough to cycle in and to feed up the next round and put it into place. But for your purposes, you can't see what's going on in there. Which is interesting because they have another model, which is, oh, here's another thing also. When it shoots, you'll see some videos online. If you watch them closely, every time you shoot and the slide goes back, the barrel also comes out momentarily. It's the nature of the mechanism in there. And this is out right now because when I let it go forward, when I released the slide, I did so very gently. It's just how it works. You just want to release it with some actual force, and it'll always, do what it needs to do and line up. But just be aware of that though. That barrel does extend during shooting. It's just a momentary flash. I've seen some BB guns that do the same thing. The barrel creeps out upon shooting. It just has to do with that type of loading mechanism. Okay. What else? Like I say, when I bought it, it did come with one magazine. I had purchased a second. I have some of those rubber balls in here. There's some other options. These things here are something I picked up. These are, there's like an indoor target kit, and they give you this big circular thing that looks like a dartboard, except it's hook and loop. And the hooks are on the dartboard, and you could fire these little fuzzy 43 caliber balls. They're very lightweight. They're not very spherical. They're kind of just, the thing is like just a pad which is glued or taped to the outside. They don't fly that straight, but if you're shooting within about 15 to 20 feet, you know, it's fun, but don't expect supreme accuracy. Also, being that it's a paintball gun, here's some of the paintballs. RAP4 paintballs, made in USA. One thing that has let me down about this, though, I was really excited when I got it because I thought because of the CO2 and the bore, I knew that it didn't get many shots. You have to use a lot of air to propel something, an air-powered projectile, out of something with that diameter. So you only get, I believe you get maybe two. You know what, I forget now, but it's not a whole lot of shots. You're not going through, you know, 60, 70 shots. I'd say maybe you get, if I remember correctly, maybe 2 or 3 mags per CO2. It's just the nature of the game when you have, you know, projectile that big. What has let me down, though, is the accuracy. It's just not very accurate. You know, again, out to maybe like 20, 25 feet, you'll be on a man-sized target, but compared to some of my airsoft guns, namely like something like this, like a little Tokyo Marui, I mean, I could semi-consistently hit a tin can out at about 60 feet or so. If I tried that with this, I'd be there all day, and if I hit it, it would just be by luck. They do not go necessarily to point of aim. And it's a shame because I don't think it's the barrel or the gun, but the paintballs that they sell have these real prominent seams on them, and they are anything if, you know, not oblong. They are not very spherical. So just depending on how this is rotating down your barrel, it's going to come out like a curveball, basically. It's almost like a stitching on a ball, and when that hits the air, it puts all sorts of influence on it. So this, I mean, I know it's a handgun, and I know it's a paintball gun, but you're really, you know, 50 feet, you could shoot at a man-sized target at 50 feet and miss. Take 5 shots, maybe a few will hit, maybe they won't. So that's a bit of a letdown. I also got a big bag of these rubber balls, which have the same seam, unfortunately. They're a little bit better. They're not as pronounced as on that on the paintballs, but these also, I thought they weigh a little bit more, and I thought that these would fly true. They don't. So a little disappointed there. Pros to the gun, though, is that it's very unique. It's just, you know, to have an actual replica of a true firearm firing paintballs. The look of it, it looks pretty badass. It's loud, which is pretty cool. When that air escapes, it's much, much louder than an airsoft gun by far. The recoil is so-so. Because the slide does not move very far, it doesn't give you a ton of recoil, but the slide is heavy and the force exerted on it is great. So it's if you're the type of person who likes the realism of halfway decent recoil, it is halfway decent. And I guess that's all I want to tell you about this gun. It's pretty cool. It's definitely a unique gun. It's not one of my favorites. It's really just the unique factor of it. Again, because I just use it kind of for plinking and stuff like that. I get frustrated when things aren't accurate, and this was disappointment in the accuracy department. Just want to show you what else it comes with. A 1-year limited warranty. Okay, so you have some information in here. You can see some of their other models. There's the Walther P99 version. Here's the SIG version. And I would encourage you to look at their site, because what's interesting is they're all kind of different. Like the P99, when you pull back the slide, it is an open ejection port, fully open. You can see right through. The magazine is of a different capacity. Same thing with the SIG. It differs in its own unique ways. So it's like they're similar, but each one they kind of designed uniquely, which is a little bit odd. And then here's a squeegee with some of the little patches that you run through it every once in a while when you're firing the paintballs. So that's been the Ram Combat pistol from Ram or RAP4. And if you have any questions, just throw it in the comments. Thanks.